Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always. And today we are joined by Valorie Hubbard. Valorie is the #1 acting business coach, founder of Actors Fast Track Inc., and an award-winning actress. With a passion for acting that began with a dramatic tumble down a staircase at age 3, Valerie's journey led her to the Goodman School of Drama and a 20-year performance stint in New York. Her impressive credits span from theater to roles in TV shows like Castle, True Blood, Resident Evil, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Glee. Beyond acting, Valorie has written 2 insightful books guiding actors on transitioning from student roles to professional stardom and running their careers as successful businesses. I've asked Valorie to join us here today to share her story and talk about marketing ourselves as well as the business of show business. So Valorie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. So
Yeah.
now how did you even get into this? Because it sounds like this isn't necessarily a traditional career, but also sounds like it's not really a job per se. Like it's really a freelance thing. You have to guide it's that you have to guide your career like a business. So do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? Did you like
Yes, I do.
mm,
So my father was a very successful entrepreneur. He
mm,
had 2 businesses. The first was I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, which is the air capital. And everything always had to do with building airplanes. But his first business was called Kansas, Oklahoma Machine Tools. And he had that for 25 years. He started it the year I was born.
mm.
And then he sold that and he started a milling company called Milling Precision Tools. And that was where, like, the government would send him parts and he would drill a certain hole in it for a helicopter or whatever. Right. And that he did until he retired. I read somewhere that entrepreneurship is definitely part of it is inherited gene thing. And I definitely think that's true. When I went to acting school when I was 18 and I got out when I was 22 and they told me to go to New York and how they told me how I got an acting career was I got an agent. An agent is just a commission-based salesman. That's what they are. And so that's all they told me how to do. They didn't teach me anything about they say show business, but they don't really teach that in any acting school. And I knew that it just didn't make sense to me that there needed to be, because when I would go to my agent, which I did get, I'd say, what should I be doing? I felt like there needed to be a plan and I needed a plan. And he would say things like, you just go take an acting class or go sit over there. And it just didn't make sense to me. And so I really started like study because they make 10%, I make 90%. That just didn't make any sense to me. So I started studying business and I figured out, hey, actually the customers who are like the decision makers in our business, producers, directors, writers, and what they call casting directors, those are my customers, and I feel like I need to be getting in front of those people. Yes,
Mhm.
an agent gets me in front, but if I'm just depending on this one person to
Yeah.
sell me, it
Ooh.
doesn't make any sense, right? And so I started to get myself in front of customers and I started to book big stuff. And then what happened is my friends were like, hey, how are you doing that? And I'd be like, I'm doing this. And then they go, can you help me? And so I started helping my friends. And then I started a business in the 90s, but it was like before computers and it was very nickel and dime kind of a side thing. And then 12 years ago, I started this business and then it became this big thing. So now after all these years, I've developed a 5-step system that I put my actors through. I have clients all over the world and it's become a big thing now. Yeah, but I think that actors are the most gaslit profession out there and they're really left out of the business in a lot of ways. And so my goal is to change the way actors do business.
I think that's fantastic. I love what you said in the sense of you didn't, because I self-published a book and got it hit #1 on Amazon for the top 100 in marketing and sales, #7 for business overall. Now that's the free list, not the paid list, because we did promos, but I got it there and it hung out there for a long time. And, a lot of people launch stuff on Amazon, it just goes to obscurity. And I have friends, they saw me do that because I got put in TV and local TV and radio for it. And they're like, hey, a lot of people say, how do I do that? And I was like, the secret is I didn't wait for somebody else to make me successful. That's spoiler alert. No one's coming to save you. Like the lineup of people that just want to be admired and admonished. Is that the right word? They just want to be praised for being amazing by other people and have somebody else do all the work to make them rich and famous. Like those lineups of people that are waiting for a publisher to find them and discover them, it is so long. Even if you got in that lineup now as a newborn, you would die before you even got close to getting to the end of that. Like everybody is looking for someone to do all the work and make them famous. And so I love that you basically said, I tried to figure out who are the decision makers and let me just network and get in front of them. You didn't say I'm going to go and force someone to this. You're like, I just need to get in front of them. They need to know I exist. I need to put a face to the name. And I think that's a really powerful thing because they say one is the worst number in business. So if you just had one agent and you were just leaving everything up to this one person, it sounds like catastrophe. So
it is, but it's like a disease with the actors. It's like they're just lined up hoping one day, someday to find the agent it's like a knight in shining armor, just like you just said, that's gonna get them the career that they've been dreaming of. It's like, why don't you just go get it for yourself? Well, it's amazing to me. And then on top of it, like I always say, an actor only needs to be in LA or New York or the UK or wherever they are for about 6 months to be fully ensconced in the straitjacket of everything they're not supposed to do. If you look at careers like Julia Roberts or Michael J. Fox or Holly Hunter or people like that, all of them, and Margot Robbie, my next shirt is Be Like Margot Robbie. All of them were tenacious. And before they knew they weren't supposed to, they picked up the phone and pitched themselves on the phone. The other issue that has come into play in the last 10, 15 years is Gen X on above are afraid. A lot of them are afraid to pick up the phone. They don't pick up the phone. And we know in any kind of sales, you can do marketing, email sales, but ultimately, if you really want to move ahead in your career, whatever you're doing, you got to pick up the phone. You got to get in front of people.
Yes. That's been a real theme lately. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people are talking about that. You got to pick up the phone. And you talk about the Gen Xers. I don't know what's going on. I think it might be partially to the pandemic. I actually had a staff member who were doing a hybrid work scenario, and I'm not going to mention any names, but she got feedback from someone else on the team. Hey, what do you guys think of this? And someone gave feedback, and then she just ghosted everyone. Like she didn't show up to work in office next day. She didn't respond for 2-3 days. And I was like, so I guess I'll send you your final pay and replace you. No, I really need the job. Okay, but how are you supposed to work if you don't interact? And she said she thought that people were mad at her. And I reread the chat and I was like, I don't see that. I see that you said, hey, what does everyone think of this? And someone gave you like, hey, this needs to be edited.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 2-second fix.
Yeah. And on top of that, I'm dealing with actors who are highly sensitive, neurodivergent people to begin with. And they're neurodivergent to begin with, and they're highly sensitive. And so then, so it's like treating them. It's interesting because today I was doing a class that I'm doing right now, and I had a guest on there, and she was talking, and she said to the actors, and she's an actor herself, and I can't stress this enough. It's yes, you're emotional and you have all these things, but when you're in business, you have to learn how to let it roll off your back. It's business. It's not personal. And they're so sensitive. They're so sensitive.
So in your own career, launching this, okay, you're going to launch your business, helping other actors. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
In the business or just like in my own career?
Maybe both.
Okay. In the business, when I started this business 11 years ago, my relationship to money and my journey in the healing process around money and really growing up around money has been probably the biggest challenge for me as a whole. I have made some recent decisions in my company to scale back because I started off just me and a virtual assistant and a coach and a bookkeeper, and I did well for 5 years. And then then the next 6 years were about building to a 7-figure company. And now I'm in this place where I'm like, I don't really need that. Like I would rather go back to being like, so I'm working on words like streamlining, automating. It's always about, with business, it's always about organizing and organizing and reorganizing and systemizing and putting new SOPs in place and all that stuff. And I like that stuff because my mother is extremely organized. And so I inherited that from her. And so that I do enjoy, but I think it's been like about the lessons in, when you're the CEO and the boss, it's like you're the front man. And so it's like being the mast on the ship. You get all the waves crashing on you. And so it's been like, I had a coach say, build a better business, build a better you. And that is the truth. And there are some times that she's the coach that helped me start this business. And there's sometimes where I've cussed her out, like in my mind, like I can't, like, why'd you make me? Acting was way easier than this. So that the journey of that, the hardest thing is letting go of people. That's like the hardest thing I've had to do. But the growth as a human has been amazing. And the other thing is, I got big last year on TikTok. I had the doxing and the haters and dealing with that. Oh my God, that's been like a whole nother lesson about, and I'm someone that like, if you came up to me today as an actor, I've been an actor since I was 3, and you said, oh, you're not a very good actor or whatever, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like all of that rolls off my back because I've been an actor my whole life.
Right.
But, oh my God. Like I had some people that just, because a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is breaking the rules. The name of my last book is called Rule Breakers, Changing the Way Actors Do Business.
Right.
And what I'm teaching actors is to break the rules. Right. So, man, the establishment doesn't like that. And boy, they came after me. These people were crazy to the point of like, I had to hire an attorney, right? And so that's been learning how to not to be reactionary, right? And learning how to breathe and not, that's because I've got a temper. So, you come after me, or even worse, you come after one of my clients because they're like my babies. That learning that skill set has been a big lesson. In my acting career, I think it's like a lot of the stuff that my clients deal with, I either don't remember going through that, or for me, I always wanted to be an actor and I always knew I was going to be an actor. I had a lot of success in my acting career, and I got sat, but I feel like I'm so past that now that I don't really remember it. But I also think that I'm someone that gets what I want. I'm a really good manifester. And when I see something that I want, I go and get it. There's other upper limits in my life. I love that book by Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. It talks about how do I go beyond that upper limit. That's to me, like my upper limits have to do with food, overeating, sometimes some drugs.
We all have our challenges. I think that they're partially there they're character builders. If everything, I would say it's easy to get along with everyone when everything is sunshine and rainbows and the sun is shining and you got food in your tummy and money in your wallet and your pocket. But who are people when the chips are down, where they're cold and wet and it's raining and they're scared and afraid and they're broke? How people treat you and react with you then. Like I actually, personally, I typically tend to be a little, I don't want to say standoffish, but in all my personal dealings and professional dealings, until I've gone through something with someone, in my mind, I just think, I don't know what this person's shadow is. I don't know what the wild card is with this person. And until I see it, we just went through, we have a couple pieces of property that we're trying to develop, and we're renting where we are now while we get the house built and we renewed. We're going to be here for another year. And going through the renewal, the agent tried to slip some stuff into the contract for the owners, but there was no need for that. And the way we handled that was actually really well. Me and the owner got together and we're like, this agent's crazy. We were like, what is she trying to do? Nobody asked her to do this. And how we handled that, I even said that to them. I'm like, we handled this really well. We treated each other with mutual respect and a willingness to like, we both want to be here. And this there were outside circumstances and so we just fixed it. And we just made like a 1 page, what we wrote before is what we're just doing again, and let's sign our names for another year. That's really let's get rid of these 4 or 5 pages that she put together. Let's just 1 page. We're renewing what we did. And so it's that whole, now I feel like I would trust them so much. I feel like it's going to be such a good experience. Anytime that we see them, they come around. Now I'm curious, why do you say the establishment went after you? That's because at the time of this recording, it's been a couple of years I just got fact checked again on Facebook for a post 2 years ago about a meme about why we say hello on the phone. And now my Facebook account is restricted for 90 days for posting false information. And so I'm like, oh, you're changing the world, Facebook. Hallelujah. Thank goodness we fixed this false meme for why people say hello on the phone. And you are just embettering the planet by censoring and limiting the reach of my organic stuff. So when you talk about the establishment coming after you, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've had that the last couple of years in different ways and forms. What are you not allowed to do?
Okay, this is great that you asked that. We're in an exponential change, and we have been for 20 years, and we're really at the beginning of it. And I think it was Bill Gates that said the exponential change has been expedited by COVID. And in our industry, in the acting industry, the establishment says that as an actor, I get an agent. The agent goes to the casting director that has jobs, and the casting director's customers are the producers, right? And so I'm only supposed to go through that door. If you look at like Margot Robbie, before she was famous, pitched herself to Martin Scorsese for Wolf of Wall Street. So she didn't go through an agent. She went around the agent to get in front of the producer director of Wolf of Wall Street to get on that. And since the dawn of times, actors have been doing that. But now with the onset of technology, and there was a lot of mistakes, so what happened is the technology changed to where, and because of COVID now, all of our auditions are on self-tapes. What occurred because of that is that pathway from agent to casting director became very overcrowded, because now the casting director isn't having in-person auditions. They're watching self-tapes. So that means that opposed to seeing 30 people in a room, they can now order 1,000 self-tapes. Right. Now you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but there's no way they're watching 1,000 self-tapes.
Right,
and if they're watching them, they're watching them on a fast forward rate. So now that way of us getting to the job is considerably is harder than it was. So now what I've been teaching actors to do, which is to go around those people to the actual decision maker, which is the producer or the director. Now that has almost become a mandatory thing, because if you're not doing that, you're waiting on, it used to be this size of path, like about a foot path. Now it's like a tiny little inch path between, it's like the water drain into your house is like really tiny. So if you don't build a bigger one, it's like the slow boat. So now that's and so they don't want you doing that. And so they'll tell you things like, well, they're really busy people. You know what? Welcome to the world. We're all busy. And also, gone are the days where, remember in the olden days, it said that you needed to get in front of your customers 7 to 10 times. Now it's like 15 to 30 times before they're going to buy your product. And also the other thing that happened is the agents stopped picking up the phone to pitch their clients. So everything became
cookie cutter. In my LinkedIn job applications, I'm a one-click apply to all these jobs.
The agent used to get the audition sent to them. Then they would look at their clients. They would decide who I'm going to send in for this. And then they would pitch you on the phone. This is what happens now. The algorithm automatically assigns the clients that are right for it. All they do is come in, and they're still making the same amount of money. They come in and they click submit. And they can, if they want to, type in a little pitch. But the only thing that the customers see are the first 5 words of the pitch. So if the agents aren't picking up the phone anymore,
There's no connection.
But check this out. The three big agents in the world, they created their own ecosystem. See, they stopped using that system a while ago and they kept picking up the phone. So they're doing business differently than everyone else. And on top of it, the three big agents in the world saw this coming 20 years ago. So they diversified. They're into real estate, hedge funds, right? One of them is into real estate and hedge funds. Another one of them does Live Nation, which means they made all the money off Taylor Swift, right? Like the other one's represents all the major speakers in the world, like all the big speakers that get paid millions of dollars to speak. They represent them. So they saw what was happening and they changed how they did business. But take it down to the smaller people, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, because all things considered equal, people prefer to do business with their friends. And all things considered unequal, people still prefer to do business with their friends. And there's nepotism in that, sure. It's also part the devil versus the devil you don't know. And so that's where one of the oldest marketing adages is AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. If you're being sent in with a digital file that's just one of 1,000, how do you get attention? You have to hope they pick you. You have to hope they give you their attention and that you do something that triggers their interest. It's just, I fully respect and understand what you're saying. And the haters, their results are going to be, the fruits themselves, so to speak. I think there's a lot of power in that. We did a bunch of research. I think I maybe told you, and when we did the meet and greet before we booked this interview, that in 2020, I hired about 10, 12 assistants to help me go through all the academic literature to look into business success. What makes a business successful, small and medium-sized businesses? And we uncovered 8 critical success factors. And they are self-efficacy, strategic market intelligence, strategic planning, marketing strategy, sales strategy and skills, money management, business operations, and business intelligence. And when we dived into each of those, say what makes excellent self-efficacy in business, what makes an excellent, for excellence in a marketing strategy and things like that. And in marketing, there's lots of different things in marketing, but one of them, because there's a subcategory, is intense networking and advertising. And the word intense has to be there because you can't just be like, I sent 3 applicants and then intense. And I just don't think attaching a file to go along with 1,000 others, it just doesn't sound very intense to me. That doesn't sound like because you have to connect. It's not just how many, if you talk about phone sales, not how many dials, how many contacts you have, and then how many meaningful conversations you have. And it's the nuance, right? You talk about Tony Robbins, I lived in Canada. I actually lived with an Inuit guy for 9 months named Kenny. He didn't even speak English when we first started this program and we're traveling around together. But I heard from Tony Robbins that they had 5 words for snow because the nuance to it. And if you're not connecting, if you're not talking to people, you're not in control of the process. You need to have a repeat. Yeah. So what are some of the biggest
things
mistakes
that you said were great?
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make? Obviously, they're not connecting. They're delegating to their agents.
Consistency. I always explain with actors, like you said, it's a freelance thing, and it doesn't have to be a freelance because what I've seen in the last 11 years is if I'm consistent in my outreach, all of a sudden my business starts delivering consistency. But what I always explain, and it's that board game that you and your family take off the shelf every Christmas and you blow the dust off like Trivial Pursuit or what, and that person. And then you put it back on the shelf until next Christmas and you get it out, right? This is an actor with their career. They get excited and they take it off the shelf. They blow off the dust. They do a few outreaches. Nothing happens. And then they put it back on the shelf. And so it's about, I have a shirt. We have a saying here at Actors Fast Track, full-time actors get full-time results.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And it's about full-time. And it's also about doing business out of order. If I walk into a room with 1,000 actors and I ask them what you're doing with your acting career today, they're going to say, Valorie, I'm taking this acting class. I'm getting new headshots and I'm thinking about, and I'm going to get a new agent because mine sucks or whatever. And it's okay, all of those things are great, but nothing that they mentioned has anything to do with sales. And we know in business, the number one activity, if you want to be a successful business owner, is selling, capturing the cash. And
Yeah.
I get them focused on, so we have this thing where we require them to do 5 outreaches towards their customer base a week. That's minimum.
That should be easy. That should be easy. I'm partnering with this guy on something, and we're wow, okay. So I'm a lot of people that I work with now, it's got to have some equity into it. And I'm partnering with this guy. He already has an international brand, and he wants to put a phone team together because he needs 3 to 5 people for prospecting, because they're already generating a ton of leads daily, and they need someone to go through and help qualify these leads. And then he wants his actual sales reps to be doing 4 or 5 appointments per day. So when you talk about, if people want to get paid daily, you typically need to generate leads daily. And I would push back a little bit. I love everything that you're saying. I would say it's not even so much selling, it's the prospecting. That's such a huge prospecting. You got to prospect, because you got to get, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. If you have the world's greatest product or service and nobody knows you exist, do you make any money? If you're the world's greatest actor and no one's really heard you because you're buried at file 999 out of 1,000, are you going to be discovered? So you reminded me when you talked about how a lot of them are like, oh, I'm doing this acting class and stuff. I remember early in my career, I joined a coaching group. I was in Jersey, just across from Manhattan, just through the tunnel. And we were in some hotel, and we're all talking, and this guy it's his turn for the hot seat, and he gets in there, and he's a couples counselor. So and what's going on in your business? What do you plan to grow? And I need to get a full client load. I don't have enough right now. I need to get more clients so I can have full schedule. So I'm going to get this certification, because I really think if I get this certification, that then I'll have the proper expertise. And the guru at the time, bless his soul, said, okay, let's put that to the side for a second. Right now, are you able to help? Like, are there couples that you can help with what you, yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm like 3 levels ordained from my university, whatever nonsense about that. But he had credentials. He's like, yeah, I've been doing this for years, and I've got this from this school and that. And I was like, okay. And then in an 8-block radius from where we are right now, no, he said, first, how many clients would you need? And he said something like 100, 200. Oh, 100, 200, I'd be super busy. Okay. And in an 8-block radius of here, how many couples are there that you could help with the skills and abilities you have right now? And he's, oh, probably a few thousand. And he was like, so you don't need more training and certification. You need to become less obscure. You need to meet these people. That's what you need. And it was like a light bulb moment for everybody in the room, right? Where it's like the land of the blind, the one-eyed man or woman is king. And obviously you don't want to experiment on people. So you should maybe do it for free till you feel like you're good at what you're doing. But go out there, you don't necessarily know. Maybe they want someone that's got an underdeveloped acting skills, so they can mold them in their own image for this specific role, for this specific project. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I just recently got a new client that she's taken every class and studied with every teacher. And that's her upper limit. That's where she didn't know how to break beyond that. She hired me. So now we're breaking beyond that, but it's, oh, I'll just go take another class. Oh, I'll just take another class. Right. And that's definitely, and I love what you said about prospecting, because I know that as a business owner, like I know that's true. And just even talking in business terms to these actors is something that is interesting, because I think it's so funny that like I stole from all the entrepreneur coaches and I turned that around and used it with actors, right? And so like I sell from stage, I make an offer, I do all those things, right? And when I first started doing that, people would leave because they were like, oh, how dare you sell to me? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you get sold to from the moment you open your eyes in America. Yeah. And so if you cannot sell to someone else, then you're not going to be a successful actor, because and so it's like retraining them to think in a new way. And right. So exactly, getting prospects, because a lot of times They're like, one meeting is all I need. You
No.
need 1,000 meetings.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, and so teaching them how to play the long game. So I taught them like how to get on LinkedIn and have a Zoom coffee and not make it about them. Make it about the person that they're in a coffee with and getting to know them and building a relationship, because they want it now. We all want it now. The truth is, we all know things like, oh my God, why didn't I start investing 10 years ago? If I'd have started investing 10 years ago, I'd have more. Like, we always think it's going to take too long, but it actually doesn't. And then you have these relationships that you'll have the rest of your life.
Yeah, not everything is a sales event, but everything is a relationship event. Yeah. And that's a real power. Your network really is your net worth, to the extent that it gives you distribution. It gives you distribution that you're available for something. It gives you distribution that you're looking for someone for something. It connects you to the outside world, right? Without communication, everyone's an island. And so by having that connection, and I think with Facebook, since I've already mentioned them, they used to say 6 degrees of separation, that we're all 6 people from anybody else in the world. According to Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you're like 3.2 users away from everybody else. Actually, the world's a lot smaller than people thought, in the sense of that's half. That's almost half of 6 degrees of separation. That means you're 3 people from anyone. You want to meet the Pope? You need to connect with 2-3 people to get to this. So that's a really important thing. Now, you've already gone over a couple of things, but to really hit the nail on the head and to really just put it out there, can we talk about some of the habits that you feel have helped you on your path and your best clients, your most successful clients? What are the habits? What are the things that they're doing every day, every week, every month?
They're definitely starting their day off with, and for me, meditation, journaling, reading, exercise. As actors, we're using our entire body as our instrument. That's what we're selling. So that's really important. And that's a really important habit. Another really important habit for us is rehearsing. And I think that's just a really important habit for everyone. It's rehearsing, whether rehearsing means to furrow the ground. And when we have a thought, a mindset thought that is leading us astray, we have to create a new thought pattern, and we have to rehearse that thought pattern until it becomes the new way of thinking. And so I think it's really important to constantly be learning and absorbing. I think my most successful clients have a community that they have for their accountability, whether it's a coach, a mastermind, a therapist, or good friends that hold them up. That's really important. Consistent action towards their dream and towards the thing that you want, even when you don't feel like up to it. I took a little vacation last week, and we all need to take vacations and take breaks, but it's really important to be consistent. And and so like once a week I do what I call my money ritual. And so it's on Friday mornings, and I play music, I read some money mantras, I read my money vision, my financial vision, I read the 5 reasons while I'm doing that, and then I do my books. I've created a new way of looking at money by doing that. So that's like an example. But yeah, for me, it's really been that morning ritual, and I've taught that to my clients as well, and I see that the successful ones do that.
Yeah, fair enough. I fully agree on that. I'm a bit of an athlete, and one thing that you learn is if you're exhausted and you give up mentally, your body's not going to carry you across the finish line. Your mind will push your body across the finish line. And also, things that don't move have smaller brains. This is a fact of the animal kingdom. If you had a car and you never took it anywhere, it wouldn't need wheels, it wouldn't need an engine, you wouldn't need an exhaust pipe, you wouldn't need a drive chain, an axle, you wouldn't need turn signals. You may not even need the horn. So if you had a car that never went anywhere, and same thing when they look at organisms that don't move in the world, if they don't move, they have smaller brains. And this is something, and I should actually look up the research. When I was in Japan, I lived in Tokyo for 3 years, and I taught English I taught English on and off because it was like $60 an hour. So I was like, yeah, I'll keep doing this freelance. But I taught English for the first year or so mainly, and then I got into actually consulting with some of the big firms. I managed to work with 7 Seas Consulting, and they had clients like Microsoft and Johnson and Tokyo Electron. But one of the clients that I got to connect with, she was a neuroscientist and she was doing research on areas of the brain for like dual function. And I'm just making this one up, but for example, let's say the part of my brain that controls my left hand movement. If I improve my motor skills with my left hand, does that make that area of my brain better absorb or better do the other functions it does? And so this is where, like we talk about feeding your brain, right? Like movement is life. By waking up your body, by moving your body, by flexing that brain muscle, it prepares you for the day. And I think that's a really important thing. You never know what's going to, only thing you can really control is how you start and end your days. You can't really control what's going to happen in the middle. And so the best thing you can do is really help prepare yourself. Self-efficacy is one of the success factors that we uncovered. I should pull up like what is good self-efficacy? It's specific personality traits, demonstrating them, leadership skills, and personal disciplines. And the disciplines are physical health, sleep, diet, fitness, mental health, of course, time management, discipline itself, commitment to improve, and a sense of urgency. As far as leadership skills, a lot of people talk about what is leadership. According to our research, leadership is not goal setting. That is part of your market intelligence and strategic plan. Leadership is self-awareness skills, communication, cooperation skills, emotional intelligence skills, and adaptability. And the personality traits that you need to exercise are a locus of control, which means controlling the things that you can control. Having a high degree of locus of control is being a control freak about the things you can control. Extroversion, like you were talking about, if you won't go out there, pick up the phone, do people know you exist? Openness to experience, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and acceptance of criticism and feedback. These are all things that are positively correlated to success in business. And I would say in any professional endeavor to a certain extent, if you're not accepting of criticism and feedback, you're not going to be better. And if you're not better, no one's going to want to pick you. You're just going to be the ones that your family forces people, that, like you got to deal with Jerry in the back. Oh God, not again, whatever that is. So this has been such a great interview. Now I wanted to ask, where do you think the future of things are going? There's been issues about ethics in the industry. I'll just call it that. Ethics in the industry, abusive positions of power, AI. What do you?
AI is going to happen. It's going to happen. I think that it's going to happen whether we like that or not. That is definitely happening. It's occurring. And so I think that what's going to happen is that we are going to see actors, there is going to be some reverting back to old ways. And I think one of those old ways is actors are going to really begin to create. They already are. Some of my most successful clients are content creators on TikTok and Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that creating your own content, selling your own content, not waiting for or dealing with the producers, like creating your own content, because actually we are the artistic one more than anyone else. Right? That more than the writer, more than the director, more than the producer, we are the art. And so I think the more that I can give actors their power back, the more they can begin to create their own content and sell their own content and take and understand that they become the CEO, they become the boss. I have some people that I've taught that are some of the biggest people on TikTok and have 24, 30 million followers, and they're running their own business and they're creating their own content and they're getting paid for that content. So I think that we're going to see that happen more, a lot more. And because people want their entertainment.
Right.
We were more clear of that than anyone when we were all collectively in the world watching Tiger King, right? In the first
you went there.
Wow. And we all want that. We all want our Netflix. We all want our Hulu. We all want our entertainment. We do want that. And we're the people that are acting in it. And people want the stories. They don't want just reality. And so people want that. Right. I'm going to go down right now and because I'm addicted to Friday Night Lights. I never watched that. And now I'm watching it because I saw a TikTok about the great shows that maybe you missed and you didn't watch. Oh my God, I'm so addicted to that now. That's
yeah. Personally, I have a rule that I don't watch TV series because I just have an addictive personality. And if you get pulled into one, they're just going to pull you along with cliffhangers and you just like 80 hours are gone. And you're like, what happened with my So I love that. I fully agree with what you're saying about creating and selling your own content. And again, we talked about being an author and that the people that really get the deals, like a publishing company, which I imagine is maybe like a movie studio, they want to grow and sell. And I think it works like music in the sense of an artist makes it, builds a big following, comes from nothing, grows this massive thing from the ground up. They start a label because all these people are coming, hey, maybe if I just get my tape heard, they'll let me get exposed to the millions. And if the millions hear me, they'll love me. And what the guy wants, what these companies really want, I talked about actually yesterday, interview with someone talking about how even if you get a big publishing company, they really don't do a lot to market your book. And that's because what they're looking for is people that already have built-in audiences because they've got 11 plus other publishers that they want to move those products for. So like when a music label brings someone in, typically it's an artist whose audience probably would like all the other artists because a buyer is a buyer. And so if you're going to buy this person's album, you probably will buy other albums. And so that's what they're really looking for. Hey, it's almost like a joint venture. If I have 1 million followers and I'm going to have someone on my YouTube channel or whatever, I don't have 1 million followers, but if I did, I'm probably not going to pick the guy with 1 subscriber. Like you might as a guest and whatever, but typically if you're going to co-create some content, you want someone that there's going to be synergy and that respects what you've built. And that's the same with these companies. And I think that's what you're talking about as an actor. Yeah. If you can create your own content, you can build your own following. 1, you can write your own check, but 2, that makes you more attractive, right? You stop having to chase work as much versus have people come to you because they see your demonstrated ability is massive. So they see your demonstrated ability. They see that you draw an audience. They see your creativity in action. And they go, hey, we need and want that for our film. I mean, if Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to be Conan and he went in just as a skinny little computer nerd, it was like, no, I do it. I work out. So Conan, I'm like, he showed up looking like a barbarian, right? He did the work and showed up and fit the role. It wasn't, if you give me the chance, I'll do push-ups every day what if you don't? You expect them to gamble on you? What if you don't? Yeah. Now you talked about AI. So as far as AI, like it's going to happen. So what do you think people need to do to prepare themselves for the future? We've talked about some of these, but let's really make it blunt.
I think that there's a lot of in-between jobs that should be, that if you're in the casting world, I think that you should be definitely moving into the producing world if you haven't already, because just casting is easily and already being replaced by AI. I don't like, if you're a cab driver, you should probably not just be a cab driver. You should probably be looking for something else because there are self-driving cars already. Yes. That will be happening, right? If you want to work in a McDonald's, good luck, because now you walk into McDonald's and you do your order, right? But so things are going to be replaced. I think with writers are definitely in danger more than actors are, because I think it's hard to, but I do think that writers still have the ability to have their power because they have their own voice, because the AI hasn't quite advanced enough to really be able to do what a human can do with a point of view. And so I think it's like really being really specific about what your brand is as an actor. But really, again, all of these things, in order to beat the machine, you have to be individual, and you have to be marketing yourself, and you have to be putting yourself out there and utilizing, like a lot of actors are like, oh, do I have to do social media? That was what was happening. But now it's like, you'd be stupid not to. It's like buying a restaurant that comes with a billboard and you decide not to light up the billboard. That makes no sense to me. Why would you do that? Create your social media platform, get your followers, because that's your money. Your list is your money. Right.
List. Can we talk about list for a second? I think social media is very important, obviously, but owning your list is so much more important. I think everybody here, you need to build an email and a phone list, and to not trust that. Listen, MySpace was once big. Where is it now? YouTube originally started off, if you use archive.org, YouTube originally was a dating site. I am looking for, it was your tube to put videos of your life to find a dating partner. The internet changes and evolves so fast. So don't build a house on someone else's land. I helped a client in like 2012, 2013, I think it was. We grew his Facebook following from 30,000 followers to 300,000 followers. We were getting over 3 million organic impressions a week. January 1st, 2014, Facebook comes out with the boost post feature where you can now pay to boost your post. And it was going to cost us $750 to $1,400 per post on Facebook to get the same organic reach we gotten just the day before. And so I also have a past client. I helped add $1 million to her bottom line. She was already $1 million business. We had another million. And she went to Pakistan and blew up because she's a Muslim woman from Pakistan that went to Texas and lived there and grew a 7-figure business. And then she goes back home. And because she speaks Urdu and that, she has 1 million followers on Facebook now. She is trying frantically to keep those people engaged and get them off of Facebook onto an email list, because you can email people and ask them to follow you at different places, but you can't export your Facebook followers. And when you post on Facebook, you compete with everybody else. You compete with their friends. Did their friends get married, have a baby, someone pass away, someone graduate? Your post competes in the algorithm for that. If you have an email address, you can text people or call them. That attention, you skip through all of that. So I think that's such a powerful message that everybody maybe needs to work harder at building their own community, their own following, and that. So now, Valorie, this has been such a good call. I got a couple pages of notes here. If people want to get in touch and learn more, is actorsfasttrack.com where they should go?
They can go there. Yes, they can. actorsfasttrack.com. And my email is right on there. And a way to outreach to me is right on there.
And your phone number is there too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Put her phone number there. People might actually call you and connect. I'm terrifying. So if people are interested and want to learn more, go check out actorsfasttrack.com. Valorie, you've been such a wonderful guest. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
I don't think so. I think you've asked me so many great things. I don't really have anything else to add to that. It's been really good. We're on the same track, and building a business is hard, but it's so worth it. Ultimately, it makes you a better person. I really believe that.
I believe that too. Thank you so much, Valorie, knowing you have your own following, your own channels, your own people, your TV shows to watch. Thank you for coming and joining and helping educate my audience.
Thank you, Daryl.